Hello, hello, and welcome to another soothing Saturday with Pepper Plays. I'm Pepper. Uh, we're at some chess yet again for a third Saturday in a row. I'm digging the chess vibe, or at least, digging playing it. I guess that's all the same. Digging the vibe, digging playing it. I think it works. Joining me is my partner in crime. I mean, I don't think we've committed any crimes, have we?
Oh, probably.
Really? Anyway, is Diva. Say hi, Diva.
Hi, Diva.
I knew you were going to do that. Oh, I knew he was going to do that. Today's tea is, I have switched to a nice herbal tea. It's a cranberry apple. It is delightful, loose leaf, as I have my steeper here off to the side.
It's doing that thing again. I think you need to click the window.
What thing? What do I need to do?
Do you see your preview?
Oh,
I guess you have to click the chess window.
oh,
I don't know why it does that.
that's weird.
No.
All right then. Do I need to move my camera?
You should always be in the center of your camera.
Why am I not? That's better. Anyway, all right, so I'm playing a what 400 level
Yeah, so it's a 400
computer.
computer.
You can hear
It's on
our
sort of medium difficulty.
yeah,
So it'll tell you what moves are best and whatnot after you've made them.
right on. You can hear chomping in the background. We gave our dogs some yak cheese bones prior to starting the stream, so they will hopefully enjoy that. Maybe. Well, one of them will. She's the chewer. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and start. I seem to like the first initial move of was it the are you gonna stop me?
No, I was just going to say I think this session, what's going to happen is I am not going to tell you what to do, and you're going to play
Mhm.
this all by yourself.
Oh.
If you have questions, I'm here. And if you get stuck, I'll give you suggestions, but I think this is all you today.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. Well, before I start, I was playing Isaac yesterday, and I was playing Lilith, which is a particularly hard character to play to begin with, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, because she starts with Incubus. She has no tears herself. So she starts with Incubus and Cambion Conception,
Yep.
right? And she starts
Yep.
with one red heart and two demon hearts.
She also starts with Buddy in a Box.
Right, Buddy in a
Or
box.
the friendship box. I don't know what
Yeah,
it's called.
something where it duplicates all of her followers. So then, like in a boss fight, you can double the number of incubuses you have to fight with, which is great because it just does more damage, of course. Anyway,
Number of incubuddies.
incubuddies. Anyway, not only did I beat Mom, and I beat what's It Lives is after Mom.
Wait, what? Yes.
The
Sorta.
order. What do you mean,
Yes.
sorta?
Yeah. So it's mom's
I'm
mom.
talking about
Then
major boss fights. Mom is a
oh
major boss fight, like game-ending
yeah,
boss fight. Like Mom used to be the end of the game.
yeah. So
Yeah,
it's mom. Then it lives, and then either um, Isaac if you
Isaac,
go through the cathedral, or Satan if you go through Sheol.
Shoal. And I went to Cathedral, so I fought Isaac. And then I went to the chest for the first time.
Yeah,
And I fought Blue Baby and beat him.
it was good. It was a good run.
So how long have I been playing Isaac now?
Got like 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years it's taken me to get to the chest. So practice, determination. It's the goals in life. Okay, back to chess. I was really excited about that because I got to the chest and I was like, I, what am, I like I beat Isaac in the cathedral and I thought that was it because that's usually it. But I must have beat Isaac in the cathedral enough that it triggered the chest,
Yep.
which was weird. And I never fought the chest. I've watched Diva fight the chest plenty of times, but I have never fought the chest. let alone win. So it was really awesome that I won. But my run souped up pretty quickly, so that was nice. It was helpful. Anyway, I'm going to start this initial pawn move.
Starting with the queen's pawn.
Well, it didn't say that. It says the Mrs. opening. Mises opening?
Oh, Mises
I
opening.
thought it was the queen's pawn. Maybe because I
Queen's
didn't move
pawn
it.
is moving your pawn all the way to the 4.
Right. Okay.
Most of the book openings have your pawns moving 2 spaces instead of 1.
Oh, that was a.
I wanted you to move the king's pawn, which is probably the accompanying book move to the move you just made. So if pawn to pawn to d3 is this Mrs. opening, my guess is pawn to e4 is the follow-up move to the Mises opening.
Mises. So now is most objective really trying to make room for back row pieces to.
Trying to get your other pieces out. Because the pieces that are hardest to get out are your rooks, and then second hardest is your bishops. And then the easiest to get out are your knights and your queen.
Did you just say the hardest to get out are your rooks and your bishops?
The hardest to get out are your rooks. Second hardest to get out are your bishops.
Because
Third
bishops only
hardest is
move on the diagonal.
Yeah, so
Right.
bishops are easy to get out because you only have to move one piece, one space, and then they can escape. Whereas a rook, you can move one piece, but then it takes 2 moves for that rook to get out of there.
H4. What did it want? It wanted me to move my rook? H4 is best?
It's a pawn. If there's
Oh,
no
the
letter
H4 pawn. Oh,
before
okay.
the
Right.
file, it's a pawn.
It's a pawn. So now this is interesting. The computer has moved their knight out.
Yeah. A lot of the time in a lot of like higher level games, knights are almost always like turn 3 or turn 4. And I don't really, I mean that's one of those like if you get high enough into like the meta of chess, I'm sure there's a reason for it. I don't know what that reason is. I'm sure it exists.
You're sure? So if I move my knight here,
Mhm.
and that knight is there, so the only other moves this knight can make is to go over 1 and down 2 to b4, correct?
Correct.
Or down 2 and over 1. It's still the same move, right?
Yep.
So the only space he can go to is b4.
He has one more move he can get to without going back.
But I thought he can move over 2 and down. So he can go to c5.
Correct. Yeah, so the 2 squares he's threatening is b4 and c5.
Which doesn't necessarily. I mean, I'm not moving.
Technically, there are 2 moves you could make to put a piece in capture range of him, but they're both pawns.
Yeah.
Neither of which you'd want to do, because there's no reason to give up a pawn for no reason.
No. Then there's this move I can make with the knight, which but the knight would be guarded by this pawn if this pawn moves here, right?
Incorrect. You would be guarded by the pawn bottom left. Because that pawn can't do anything, because pawns can only take
right, can only take
diagonally.
diagonally. Right. Right, diagonally.
But that would be a terrible trade, because generally, if a pawn is threatening a piece that is not a pawn, you generally want to move that piece. Because trading a pawn for like a rook is a terrible trade.
Yeah, no, I understand that much. I understand that much as I scratch my nose. H4 is best. They still want me to move my pawn?
Yeah,
Hey, Aaron. Thanks for tuning in.
the computer super loves it when you move your pawns first. Pawns and knights. It'll yell at you for days to move your pawns and knights. Doesn't necessarily mean it's best move, but
Right.
because you have to remember that don't pay a ton of attention to what the computer wants you to do, because the computer is thinking 8 million moves ahead.
Right. And so do you
Hello.
think it... I said hello to Aaron.
I know. I was saying hello.
Now, so do you think it's I don't know. I don't know what my question was. Because he moved out his knight and then kept moving the computer, Alani, continued to move pawns.
Yep. Well, because your pawn. So in when you start talking about like your defensive structure, usually they talk about pawns, because pawns block pieces. They allow you to. They give you a small amount of backup.
Right.
And when you're watching higher level chess, pawn structure is a term you hear often. Because pawns just get in the way of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can use them to effectively route your opponent. Which is also why pawn trades are usually fine. Like as long as you can,
Like a pawn for a pawn.
yeah,
Well, because that's what would happen if I did that. If I move my pawn now to this space, like then his or her G5 pawn could take my pawn, correct?
correct. And then you would,
Take that pawn with my... No, yeah, I could, because he would be in this space, and I could take my pawn with his pawn.
correct,
So it would be a pawn for a pawn.
correct, aka a pawn trade.
Okay, let's just see what happens.
Ooh, it liked that a lot.
Now, why did it do that?
It liked it so much the computer panicked and moved its knight back.
Like, why would you move your knight back? Like, what good is that? I don't.
Yeah.
That's weird. I think that's a weird move. Because I can take this pawn, and then his pawn's going to take my pawn anyway, so it's just the same but in reverse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought he was going to take my pawn. She was going to take my pawn to begin with, so.
Yeah, that was a questionable move.
What?
So this is actually very interesting because you the computer will consider this 2 blunders in a row.
For who?
For her. So the reason why the computer thinks that taking her pawn with your pawn is best is because if she takes your pawn with her H pawn, it opens up the H file for you to take her rook.
Right.
So she's sort of stuck.
Oh, so that's why she's not taking my pawn, because it would open up definitely. Okay, I see that. Okay. And so it doesn't make much sense for me to take that pawn, because then my pawn would be in the way of my own rook.
Sort of.
Okay.
Because the end goal in this little gambit is you want to basically force him to open up the H file. And so you could still take his pawn with your pawn, and then his options. He has a couple of options. He could either take with his knight or his bishop. But then whatever piece he moves into that spot is stuck there.
Right.
Because if he moves it away, you get a free rook.
Right. So I'm gonna do that.
Ooh, it didn't like that.
That's
interesting.
What did it want me to move?
It wanted you to move one of your other pawns. It wanted you to move your E pawn. I don't quite know why.
So that wasn't what I just did was an inaccuracy. Well, that's interesting though, because he did. He used his knight, and now
Yeah.
his knight is guarding his rook.
Yeah. And it would not be a good trade for you to take his knight with your rook, because then he'll just take it with his bishop, which then frees up the bishop. But now, the way that it sits, his knight is completely stuck. Because if he moves that knight away somewhere, you get a free rook.
Right.
And then your rook is just like playing havoc on that back line because there's nothing he can do about it.
Now, why would I move my e4, my pawn? Because then his pawn can just take my pawn, but
Yeah, it's trying to clear. But my guess is the computer is trying to clear the her pawns on the right side of the board. It's not going to like that. Yep.
oh, that's a blunder. Why is that a blunder?
Because generally you don't want to head on pawns with pawns because it doesn't do anything.
Oh,
Like it doesn't advance you at all, and it doesn't advance the computer at all. And so it really wanted you to move that other pawn to either take their pawn or move their pawn, because then it frees up your F file. Then you have both the F and the G file are completely open for you.
okay, I understand. Now, so it wanted me to move my knight out?
Your bishop.
My bishop. Well, I couldn't move my bishop only one place unless I move that pawn.
No,
Well, oh, this bishop?
no, because you could have moved to D2 or E3 last turn as well,
E3.
because that threatens his rook. Your C bishop
Right.
moving to E3 threatens his
Oh,
rook, which would have been more prudent a turn ago before he moved his pawn to
pawn.
A5. Yeah.
So now what's the... Mm, yo no sabe. So that's a move I can make with my knight.
Yes.
Chess is weird. Because I get the end game. Like I understand that. It's this.
Well, so the purpose of the mid game is to just get your pieces forward
Right.
and try to get enough threat on your opponent so that you can take as many pieces as possible, while at the same time defending your own pieces.
Right. So he can't move this knight because that would open up his rook. But he's moved this rook. And rooks can only move rank and file.
Correct.
So they cannot move.
Technically rank or file.
Right, rank or file. So whatever turn, he can only move in one direction.
Yep. It really wants you to take that pawn.
Hey, thanks for giving us a like, Mintu. I probably pronounced your name wrong. I'm very sorry. Now what does it want me to move? My pawn?
It wants you to take that other pawn with your pawn.
Oh, this one?
Yeah, the computer in general really likes pawn trades.
Oh, but now it's an inaccuracy.
That's funny.
Bishop to e3. Why am I moving my bishop?
I don't know why it likes that move either.
What is that going to do?
Oh, it tells you the follow-up moves. That's weird.
Where?
Like right under where it says bishop to e3, it says your opponent should move their pawn to b6. Then it wants you to take the f pawn. Then it wants you to move your bishop to g7.
And then it wants me to
Then
do a
they'll move their
castle.
bishop to e7.
Oh,
That's
look, if
weird.
I scroll over it, it highlights what's going on.
Yeah, and then eventually it wants you to castle queenside. That's funny.
So that's really just that it wants me to move my bishop so I can castle queenside?
Yeah, it wants you to get your crap out of there. But the problem with all of those moves is that it's
Yeah,
assuming that your opponent is going to continue
right.
to do those things.
Sure. It's assuming a lot for
So I would not
AI.
rely on it for anything
Well, no, because
other than entertainment.
because if I do move, but it wants me to move my bishop to what, e3 here?
Yeah.
So it wants me to make this move.
Yep.
And so, like, I'm getting, like in chess, like, not only are you thinking of your move, but you're thinking of the counter move that your opponent takes when you make your move, right?
Yeah.
Ugh. Like, do players carb up before this? Because, like, this is exhausting. Like, how do you prepare for, a major chess game?
I'm sure some of the great grandmasters have made posts about it.
Ugh. What? Oh, she's what? 0. Why are you chewing on Isabel's? You butthole. Chew
Because
on
they
that
swapped
one.
and Isabel left.
Ugh, that's our dogs. No, you can chew on yours. She goes, but I like that one. It was already chewed on. Dogs are weird, folks. Dogs are weird. Excuse me for saying the BH word. We refer to our dogs frequently as that word. We refer to each other frequently as that word,
Butthole.
the BH. I'm not really certain where the BH started in our relationship, but it's been pretty consistent. I mean, we probably call each other that, what would you say on average a day? One person calling the other one a BH.
Oh, probably a dozen times minimum.
Easily. Easily. In fact, so we joke because Diva's short-term memory isn't the greatest, and it's just something that he has to deal with, and it's frustrating, right?
Yeah.
Short-term, long-term, he has some problems here and there, but so we joke about that. And then, God, this was back in what, 2013, 2014? We were living in the
Yes.
apartment in
Yeah.
Wyoming, right?
Yeah.
And we made a bet the night before about who could go the whole day, the longest, without saying BH to the other one. And all the stuff that he remembers or forgets is a laundry list. And it wasn't what, like 10 minutes awake, and I said it.
Yep.
Yeah. And he called me. He wasn't even up out of bed. He was laying in bed, and I said something, and I said BH about something. And then he was all, never, ever, ever lets me forget it. Ever.
Nope.
All the stuff he forgets, but that bet he remembered.
Yep.
I lost. That's what happened. The BH. So BH for us is a term of endearment, really. but that's only the two of us. I don't endearingly call anyone else a BH. Do you?
Nope.
Yeah. So a little insight into Diva and Pepper. Now I need to make a move here. So if I do this move, right? If I move my bishop out there,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing threatening my bishop
Nope.
because it's not inside of the queen.
Yeah.
And the rook can't move.
Yeah.
And if the rook can't move, his bishop is stuck until he moves this pawn, correct?
I mean,
The
technically,
green,
his bishop could go to G7.
well, yeah, but that seems arbitrary. Okay. Oh, what, B3 is best?
They
Bishop
really
to
liked that because now you're threatening a very important piece with no repercussions.
Oh, I'm threatening the rook, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't move the rook.
No,
He could have moved that rook back to A8, right?
he should have, yes.
But why move the pawn forward? The pawn can't do anything there.
Correct.
Should I just take his rook?
I would advise to take his rook.
There's quite a lot on the left side. You should castle the king. I should castle the king. Well, actually, the computer wanted me earlier to castle queenside.
Yeah. But it does require you to move your queen out of the way.
What's going on here? Because it assumes this computer is going to move their pawn to B6
Which is best move.
for them.
Yeah, because it blocks you from taking the.
And so when I move my bishop here, no piece can get my bishop right there, right?
Correct.
That seems like the smartest move. Oh, no.
What?
That was an inaccuracy. Why was that an inaccuracy? Bishop to D4? Why would I only move halfway?
I don't know. That's a strange choice.
Because it
Especially
thinks
because
it's,
now
well,
you get
yeah, because it assumes
get
it's going to move this rook out. And then I could have taken no, because it's not even lined up to take the rook.
I don't know why it wanted you to take that other rook. I think that was the best move because now you have a rook in the back line and you get another free piece out of this. He could have saved it, but he
Right.
didn't.
No, he didn't. And all he had to do was move that pawn.
Yeah.
But now I'm stuck there.
Like last turn, you're never stuck
Right?
there. Well, why do you think you're stuck there?
Well, because I can't move through that pawn, can I? Oh, I can take the pawn, but then he can take my queen. His queen can take me.
But why would you take the pawn? There's a much better piece to take with your rook.
Oh, the knight. Right?
Yeah.
Because the knight can't do anything unless it moves. But it's not because it's my turn. A rook
Yep.
and now a knight for a rook. Make that trade every time.
Every time.
I mean, right, yeah. Oh, yeah, so that's the best move. But before, my move was a blunder. So now I'm trapped.
No,
No.
still not trapped.
So what?
What's the ultimate objective of chess?
Check
And how do you achieve that?
by moving my king. Or no, by shut up. By disabling any further moves of the opponent.
So this would have also been considered just a gigantic blunder for the computer, from the computer.
Okay. Oh, because can I take the queen?
I don't know. Can you?
I can take the queen. And nobody can stop me. I'm going to move my rook now. Like,
It's mad about it.
but like then it says like the bishop to c7 is best.
That's what you did.
Oh, right. That's what I did. What does it say to do next then? Move my queen out? It wants me to move my queen here.
Because it puts their king in check, which means you can take
Right.
the knight.
Well, I'm going to do that, right?
Like I'm pretty sure the computer thinks you're checkmate in 2 turns. 3 turns?
Oh, no, looks like 2. Because then it shows.
Well, it's also not.
Right.
It has not done it correctly because it isn't counting for the
I'm going to do it.
rook's
Oh,
move.
that was an excellent move. So now the rook moved.
Oh, it wanted you to take
The what?
it wanted you to take the knight with your rook, which was a better move.
Oh. What am I doing?
Nothing now. I was just telling you what it wanted you to do.
Oh, rook to h6. Oh, to take the knight. Had some good moves in there though, right?
Yeah, that was just a lot of power moves all at once.
What you barking at, dog? Male?
Yep.
What is next?
So this is where you should start looking at. So right now your power pieces on the board are the queen and the h-file rook.
So here's a weird. What happens if I do that?
Nothing.
Nothing. He's not in check?
Nope. Because the bishop threatens diagonal spaces only.
Oh, right. So he could just take my bishop.
Correct.
Which is what he would do. Well, I don't know, because the computer never does what you think it's going to do.
Oh, you are mate in 3. Nope. No, you're not. Almost.
Almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
There's a way to set this up, but a lot of it depends on what the computer does. Also depends on what you do.
Oh, well.
But my suggestion to you would be to concentrate on your h-file.
Getting my rook out? So I should move my queen back? What? You just don't want to tell me. You want me to.
I don't want you to tell you. I want you to figure it out.
Well, so here's me talking it out. The only way I can move my h-file rook is if I move my queen, correct?
Right. I think you're focusing too much on the rook.
Oh, so you think I should move?
The rook is a support to the queen. At the end of the day, every piece is a support to the queen.
Right.
And so you want to remain on the offensive,
right.
But you don't want to put your queen in jeopardy.
Right. So 1, 2. So I. So I don't want to move her forward.
Why don't you want to move her forward?
Well, can't the rook then take me if I moved up to the back line?
Yes.
Yeah. And the most forward I could go would be here, right? With
Yep.
no damage.
Right.
Because the rook can't do anything and neither can the knight.
Right.
But what advantage does that give me?
What advantage does it give you?
I mean, it frees up my rook.
You're still concentrating too much on the rook. Just concentrate on your queen.
Well, she's going forward. That's the only place she can go, is there.
Right. And what advantage does that have?
Um, I don't know.
We'll talk it through.
Well, if I move her here to this highlighted space,
Hmm.
um, she's not in danger of being taken because
Correct.
the rook can't get to her in more than a move that then I could counter, and the knight can't get to her because the knight only moves over 2 and down 1 or over 1 and down, you know what I mean.
Yep.
And the bishop can't touch her because the bishop can only move diagonally on green spaces. So it just kind of locks them in over here and this side not being able to do anything. Right?
Oh, I see a much better play.
Oh, farts.
It took me a minute. Oh, and even that's not a very great play. Wow. No, I think, well, I'm going to shut up now.
Why are you shutting up?
Original idea was for you to move your queen, and all of this is dependent on what the computer does, and it would probably work out great because the computer probably is going to do what I expect it to do.
Mm-hmm.
But shoving the queen into h7 sets you up to take the rook, sort of regardless. But all they have to do is move the rook over to h8, and you could either take the rook, but then you would, if you took the rook at h8, she could take your rook with their knight.
Right.
Um, which would still leave it open because then you could advance with your rook, but you'd be down a queen.
Oh, well, I just made that move. Damn it.
Yep, yeah, you did.
Crap. Stupid auto clicking. Sorry. I didn't mean to make that move. I was going to move my queen. So, but now I can take that bishop, right?
Can you?
Yeah. He's right there. The queen can move any direction infinitely, right? Oh
He
no.
is right
But if
there.
no, I can't because then his knight could take my queen.
Correct.
So now I'm stuck because I accidentally clicked. Stupid game. This is the downfall of computer chess right there. Misclicking and moving a piece somewhere you did not intend to nor want to. Farts. That's what I say unto you, computer. So now my queen is kind of stuck there for a bit.
Ironically, the computer liked that move a lot.
Right? The computer's own move. That was great, computer.
No, your move.
Oh, my move? Oh, right. Yeah, the excellent. Well, it then predicted the computer's move accurately.
Yeah, well, because
Alani's
that's the
move.
best move.
It wants me to move my knight out.
Yeah.
So then what are the benefits of the two different moves? Because these are the two different moves.
Well, usually, unless you're heading somewhere to the left side of the board, you should always be moving forward.
So it makes more sense to move to f3.
Yeah. More so than 2 anyway. Runaway pawn. It's a weird move.
Oh, he's trying to make his way to the back line to queen himself, right?
He can, although he doesn't have any backup, so I'm not quite sure what he's hoping to accomplish.
Well, he's going to get stuck right here because my b2 pawn is in his way.
Yep.
No, no bueno. So my queen is kind of stuck right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so is my bishop. Ow.
I am going to suggest your knight.
Well, I'm not moving this one because that pawn can take it. Unless I move it back.
Just don't click there.
I like how you say, I'm going to suggest you move your knight. Which one?
I'm not going to tell you. You can figure it out.
Well, I'm
But there
not.
is a move that guarantees you either a trade or a huge advantage.
Right. So it would be this move.
Why that move?
Because then his bishop can take my knight and it frees up my queen, right? And my bishop down here to open up the H file, right?
Sort of.
I mean, sort of.
What happens if he takes with his rook or the other knight? There are 3 pieces threatening that position.
Right.
There's one spot that guarantees you an even trade.
An even trade?
Well, actually, it's a better than even trade. It lets you take one of his pieces for free.
So if I move here, his knight can take my knight.
Can it?
Well, oh, yeah, because knights can move through pawns, right?
True. What happens if that knight moves?
He's not going to move that knight because then it would open up his king and put him in check.
It's not that he's not going to, it's that he can't. You cannot put yourself in check.
Right. So he cannot move that. So his options are limited, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you were talking about a move that would be an even trade.
It's a free piece. The first take is a free piece, and then you can run away if you want to.
I don't.
So let's talk about the space you were just clicking on originally.
Here?
So what happens if you move your knight there?
Oh, there.
Mm-hmm.
So I move my knight here. He
Mm-hmm.
can't move his knight
Right.
because he can't put himself in check.
Correct.
He could move a pawn forward,
Yep.
but that pawn can't take my pawn, it can't take my knight because
Correct.
it's moving forward. He'd have to then also move his d7 pawn to d6, but I would have moved by then.
Hmm.
And he could have opened up the king. I don't know. I don't see what you're trying to.
So I guess the question is, what is the disadvantage to moving your knight there?
A disadvantage for me?
Yeah, for you. No, the other person playing chess.
Well, the computer is playing chess.
The computer is playing chess.
What's the disadvantage for me? Um, I, so what I'm doing when you ask me that question is I'm looking at all of my opponent's pieces in relation to where my knight would move and to
Right.
see, but I'm also looking at my pieces to see if I'm giving up any tactical advantage to keep my king from being in check.
Yeah.
Because technically, all he has to do is move that pawn out of the way and it's king and king, right? Is
What
that
does that matter?
I don't know. That's what I don't know.
How far can kings move?
One space at a time.
So then what good does that do?
None.
I think the problem here is that you're assuming that there are rules that you don't know, but you already know all of the rules.
Oh.
There are no surprises in chess anymore. You literally know everything.
Well, so there does not appear to be a disadvantage. Like none of his pieces can take that knight.
So what would your next two moves be in the perfect world?
I am thinking a move at a time.
I know, but think about two moves at a time now.
So if I move that knight there,
Like, don't overthink his move. Think about what you would want to do.
well, because ultimately I want to put the king in check,
Yes,
right?
ultimately.
And
But
so,
don't worry about that right now, because right now you're moving a knight, and your knight is not going to put the king in check.
well, no.
Yeah.
So I can't see another move ahead. I can't see an advantage or disadvantage to.
Well, like, what would your next move be? So you have your highlighted red. That's where your knight
Right.
now is. Where would you move him from there?
Well, once he's there, I mean, he could take the d7 pawn, but that would also open up the bishop to move, her bishop to move, and I don't, and he might move the king.
Don't. Okay, you're already not listening to what I asked you to talk to you
Oh,
about.
well, that's what I
What
was
is
talking about.
your next move? Not his move, your move. Your knight is now on e5. What is your next move?
I don't know.
Why don't you know?
Why do I have to know?
Why wouldn't you just take his knight?
With what?
Your knight.
Oh,
Your knight that is now in this theoretical situation in e5.
oh.
It's even highlighted and everything.
So I would take the knight. He's going to take my knight with his rook, right?
It's possible.
But but then I could take my queen. I could take his rook with my queen.
You could.
Oh, what the hey. But then he could take my queen with his king.
He could. But now there's an unguarded piece.
Now the bishop is unguarded, right?
Hmm.
So if I move my queen to the 8 file,
The 8 rank.
whatever, rank, right? Rank,
Hmm.
file, rank. To the 8 rank, he's probably going to move his rook back to protect the king.
He would have 2 possible moves. He could move his rook up 1, or he could move the king to d7.
But wouldn't that put it in check with the bishop there?
Where can bishops attack?
What? Oh, right. I see what you mean. They can only attack on the diagonal.
Just because you're next to a piece doesn't mean squat.
Right. Right. That's predictable.
And it's weird that it finds that best. That is not the move I would have done.
Thinks I should move my queen back.
Yeah,
Oh, to put it in check.
but I don't. I mean, he's just going to do the same thing.
Oh, let's dance around and see what happens.
And if you repeat the same move 3 times, your game ends in a draw.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's fun and weird. Weird.
Well, it's to keep you from just futzing this move back and forth.
Right. Excuse me. That was not delightful at all. I don't really have a lot of night moves. Working on my night moves. It's an old song. I just dated myself right there. Who is that? What band sang that song? Night Moves? Ooh. Is that, oh, it's like right on the tip of my tongue. Who is that? Working on some night moves. You don't know.
It's not that I don't know. It's mostly that I don't care.
Yeah. Bob Seger. See, that was right there. Thanks, Aaron. Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Band. It's right on the tip of my tongue. I was like, name was floating in my head. Thank you. I could castle. Can I castle now?
You could. You absolutely could.
How do I do that?
Grab your king and move him 2 spaces in either direction. You can castle kingside or queenside because neither of your rooks have moved.
That's interesting.
He finally got his bishop out
Bishop
of
out of
there.
there. Why move there? See, heading towards my rook here?
You're already overthinking it.
I know. No. Working on. So I can't keep doing that move. So I might as well just start moving some pawns again, right?
Sure.
Sure. Why do you say sure?
Pawns work.
F6 is best. And then he moved his bishop back.
You're looking at the plays that didn't happen.
Right. Very riveting. Thank you for tuning in, everyone who's watching or playing chess. I am learning still, so please be easy on me. I'm not anywhere close to competition level anything. But you gotta start somewhere, right? So, I've been watching a lot of home improvement shows. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why, but because I like them. I do. We like watching them, right?
Yep.
We really like Mike Holmes. Like his show, Holmes on Holmes. It's a nice play on words. Um, because his last name is Holms. And he's fantastic. He's out of Canada. He's fantastic. Just knows his building
I feel like
codes.
now you're stalling.
I am stalling because I don't have any good moves. Like my bishop can't really go anywhere. I got pawns. I don't want to move my knight because I don't want a pawn to take it. And those are
And
only
start trading pawns. If you don't know what else to do, just get rid of pawns.
why did he move his king?
That's an especially confusing move because you can put him in check. He also opened up his rook.
I should just take his rook because he can't take it with my pawn, with his pawn. Sorry, right?
Right.
Oh no! Oh, he took my knight. I totally missed that.
Oh no, you lost a knight. You're mating 2.
I am.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Because if I move my queen here,
His king would take you.
right. But you said I was mate and two.
I did say that.
Where am I moving my queen to? Am I moving my queen?
God, he might be mating 1. Oh no.
Yeah, because if I move my bishop here, he can take that the next turn, right?
Bishop where? He could have taken your bishop last turn.
Oh,
Like the fact that your bishop is still alive is amazing.
should I move my bishop back?
If you want to, it has no strategic purpose.
Strategic purpose. Well, how can I have check in two then?
I didn't say check. I said mate.
Mate? What's the
But
difference?
that's not true because he would just take your bishop.
Mate and one. The pawn?
No. If she just took the pawn, king would just take him because
Yeah,
there's nothing guarding that pawn. So my original thought was to move the f pawn up 1, which then protects the
go queen.
e7 spot, but the king could just take the rook or the bishop because there's nothing protecting that other bishop.
Parts. Oh, excuse me. I did not sleep
So
still.
probably setting up your rook is a better idea. So you're still mating 2, just not the way that I saw it.
What do you mean setting up my rook? What do you mean?
I don't know.
Run away.
You'll have to figure it out.
Oh, you had to figure it out. The rook is your mate in
It's the
2.
best way to learn, because if I just tell you, you're just going to do what I tell you, and you're not going to learn anything. I know how you function.
What? Well, okay, so if I'm setting up my rook for check, am I setting up my A file or my F file?
I don't know. Which one are you setting up?
Okay, so I can't move this rook, my A file rook, because I have a pawn in the way, and I can't take his pawn here because I have no diagonal pawn to take his pawn. Correct? So
Correct.
this is kind of a lost cause over here, right?
Okay. Sure.
I mean, I can move this rook on the A rank.
The
Oh,
one rank.
see? Thanks, Aaron. It's being a butt, but that's okay because he's trying to teach me how to play chess and not just show me how to do it. Teaching is different than showing how to do, right?
Yeah.
Now my tea is cold or lukewarm. I don't know which is worse, both. So I can move this A1 rook on the A rank,
On
right?
the one rank.
The 1 rank, sorry. That's right, A file, 1 rank. Right? It's true. We know he means well, which is better. It is better. My face doesn't say that, but it is better. Um,
Now, why did you go to the D file?
because that's where the king is.
You are not wrong.
Did you think I was supposed to go all the way to the E file?
It thought that was best. That's phenomenal.
My move was best?
Mate in 7. Jesus.
Oh, I was waiting for him to take my bishop.
Well, now you can progress with your king or your queen.
Oh, because pawns can't move back, right? They can only move forward.
They can only move forward.
So I can take this pawn, right?
You could take that pawn.
And that would put him in check, right?
That would put him in check.
So I'd just be chasing him across the board. Well, not really, because I don't want to end up in the bishop line of attack.
Correct.
Hey, is it Aisha? Thanks for tuning in, giving us a like. We're playing some chess today, or I am anyway. I'm being taught how to play chess. So this is only the third Saturday in a row I've played chess. I don't think I'm doing so bad. I'm playing just a 400 level computer. So it's like a medium difficulty.
Yeah.
Yeah, medium
It's the
difficulty.
difficulty that has the computer tell you what's going on. Bishop to G, what? Computer's all about you marching these pawns.
I just march my pawns and get a whole bunch of queens and go anywhere I want.
You could absolutely do that.
Well, because he just got a whole lot of places to go, does he?
It's a weird flex, but
I do what I want. Hmm. Well, because this is again a lost cause because none of these pawns can move anywhere, right?
Correct.
So he can't move anywhere down this way.
Nope.
I could take his bishop, but then he's just going to take my queen, right?
Yep.
But it's a good thing I have another queen.
Yep.
Are you just being like that because you can see the end of the game?
I mean, you could have checkmated him like 3 moves ago. Now you're just toying with him. Now you're the cat just like batting the mouse around.
It's kind of like the last March of the Ents, but with queens. Why not?
Computer doesn't know what's going on. It keeps telling you there's mate in 2, and then you do something, and it's like mate in 2. Oh God, mate in 2.
The queen tunnel vision. Where's he think he's going?
There you go, mate in 1.
How?
How indeed. So the goal is to get your queen somewhere where the queen is protected, but is also in putting the king in check. Where is that spot?
Oh, it's here because that pawn could take that king with a diagonal. Both pawns could take that king with a diagonal move if he moved.
Yay.
Checking for mistakes.
No blunders. That's pretty good.
So I did it. Did it. I did it. Now what?
Do it again.